You've heard a lot of pleas today, and I would also like to say as a point of order that, or a point of interest perhaps, that a comment was made that some charter schools dump students after FTE, and I would just like to say that, for the record, that I find that somewhat absurd. We are still looking for FTE students in 4 months after the FTE October count, and certainly do not want to dump students after the count. In fact, we actually take students after the count so that we hope that for the February count that our enrollment will increase at that point. I'd also like to point out that there are 2 schools that opened within 2 miles of our school this current year. We have 650 students enrolled at the beginning of the year. Our enrollment dropped because these 2 schools were opened, one of which is only hosting, I think, 23 students at this point. Although you may not be able to deny some of these charters, it is within statute for you to approve the facilities in which they go into. And that would be one way to ensure that you could determine how many charter schools are located in any particular location. But in the words of Yogi Berra, in theory and practice should be the same, but in practice they are not. And this theory is Florida State Statute 102.3317, which states that students enrolled in charter schools, regardless of the sponsorship, shall be funded as if they are in a basic program or special program, the same as students enrolled in other public schools in the district. But in practice, they are not. Students enrolled in Palm Beach County non-conversion charter schools do not receive equal funding for their education. Non-conversion charter schools do not receive any of the public tax dollars raised by the district for capital projects. Last year, the district raised over $200 million in property tax revenues for property capital projects. There are, and were last year, 180,000 students enrolled in the Palm Beach County School District, which includes charter school students. If you divide that $200 million in property tax revenues by the 180,000 students, it's $1,100 per student. For our school alone, that would mean $700,000. As of today, the charter schools in this district comprise 10,000 students, and that would be a staggering $11 million in funds that these students are missing out on. Last year, I noted a discrepancy in the district's budget narratives and had to fight for equal funding for our students. The .25 referendum to continue an ad valorem levy for school operational needs was passed by voters, but this referendum does not benefit charter schools. At no point does this ballot state that this levy would not include charter schools, and it had always been made eminently clear that charter schools would not receive district capital fundings, but operational tax levies were always included.
Would you give us your name, please?
Kendall Artusi.
Thank you. Go ahead, one of you.
I'm Jamie Madden. I'm with Bright Futures Academy. In continuation, I and everyone that I know who voted for this levy assumed that it was the same levy that we were currently receiving, but in practice it was not. Because this levy was for 4 years, state statute gives districts the power to spend these operational funds as the school board deems necessary. I was told that we would not be receiving any of these funds, which is evidenced by the fact that our discretionary FEFP revenue does not reflect any of these tax dollars. Due to this loss of funding, my students alone are losing $109,000 per year, and charter school students as a whole are losing over $1.7 million in revenue per year. The district budget is nearly $3 billion, or $13,500 per student, for 170,000 non-charter school students. I do not know what the budgets are for other charter schools, but speaking for BFA, our entire budget, as received from the district, the state, and federal funds, totals $4 million, which breaks down to less than $6,500 per charter school student. We literally educate students with half the funds. I believe that the biggest issue that charter schools are facing is funding inequality. Districts like ours are frightened by the prospect of losing control of the bureaucracy that keeps many of the jobs created just to maintain such a bureaucracy. And it doesn't stop there. Unions dislike charter schools because charters threaten their establishment. For starters, our district and consequently charter schools did not participate in the Race to the Top funds because the concept was not union friendly. We lost over $20 million in revenue to our district because of this decision. I tried to get access to the funds, stating that we were not a union school, but I was told my district's decision stood for charter schools as well. I asked rhetorically, can I get a divorce from my district? Here are just a few things that non-union BFA employees do. All staff, including teachers, came back to work on August 1st, 2011 to attend trainings and prepare for the 2011 and 12 academic year with no additional compensation. BFA teachers clock in an average of 10 hours per day. BFA staff volunteer for weekend and after-school events every day and every weekend. BFA teachers go through an extensive interview process over 3 days where they meet with our administration, take tests, and teach lessons before they are hired. BFA employees do not receive state or school-funded retirement benefits. BFA employees can be terminated at any time. BFA employees have always been compensated with a pay-for-performance plan. However, we are now bogged down with the bureaucracy of writing a plan to fit the state's criteria, which looks like a way to get around many of the union policies. Why are we having to do this? Thank you.
I'm going to be as sharp as she is in that 3 minutes. You may be asking yourself why. What do Bright Futures charter school employees do? Why do they do all of these things and more? Because they have a passion for our students and a passion for education. And if you have a passion for something, we believe you can accomplish great things because your motivation comes from within. Not from a retirement account, a pension plan, nor from the prospect of becoming the district's teacher of the year, but from wanting to make a difference in the life of a child and a difference in the world of education. The reality is that charter schools are here to stay, and we believe we have improved the quality of education in traditional public schools, as they have been forced to compete with charters for student enrollment. Every year, we are amazed that we are able to balance our budget operating with 50% less funding than traditional public schools. Yet our school does amazing things. Our parents are wonderful contributors, and our staff is our most valuable resource. We have submitted numerous requests for press releases, but have never received recognition from the board for any of these accomplishments, so we thought that maybe tonight you might like to know a little bit about our school. We differentiate education for every child in our program. All BFA elementary school students receive 50 minutes of physical education in a city park every day. All BFA students participate in our school's EduGarden, where students raise crops that they harvest and cook in our outdoor kitchen, raise rabbits and chickens, and we're willing to share the rabbits anytime, and to participate in the hands-on approach from field to the table gardening. BFA students receive art, music, character education, and Spanish every week. We host Friday night at the Riverside, where students can socialize with friends in a safe environment. BFA raises several thousands of dollars from parents and staff contributions that we give to needy families attending our school every December. We have a competitive sports program including soccer, volleyball, lacrosse, and basketball. We host the North Area Civil Air Patrol Unit. Our students have won first place in the Kravitz Center Art Program, first place in the Florida State Monologue Contest, first place at Kaleidoscope, first place in the local public schools chess tournament. We have participated in the Odyssey of the Mind and entered a float in the Heritage Day and Jupiter Athletic Association parades every day. Our school hosts community runs open to the public to create awareness of causes such as childhood obesity and Veterans of America. We sent funds to families in Alabama, sent water and resources to Haiti, sent items for victims of Katrina, and sent care packages to American troops overseas.
What's your name, please?
Mary Foley.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Amy Cognetti. With that, last year, BFA parents volunteered over 2,200 hours. That our school has been in operation for 11 years and has only received a grade below a B, but because we received the C rating year before last, we are not eligible to be considered highly performing. That Superintendent Malone Commissioner Karen Marcus and Vice Mayor Norris of North Palm Beach solicited Bright Futures to discuss possible takeover North Palm Beach Elementary School, converting it into a Bright Futures Academy charter school. This meeting instead ended in the funding of a $29 million modernization project for North Palm Beach Elementary School. I suppose this is why we have to lay off employees as we had to do in spring of 2010. After Governor Scott and the legislature cut educational funding as we had to do this fall after our enrollment was not projected, that I become frustrated with this broken system. This system is broken because children are not being educated equally. This system is broken because the highest earning percentage of our population and many, if not most politicians, do not send their children to public school. Charter schools are trying to breathe innovation and life back into a broken system. But lawmakers have, metaphorically speaking, put McDonald's in charge of Burger King. As I read through this Palm Beach County School District budget narrative, I was excited to see that Superintendent Malone wrote referring to the .25 millage voted on in November 2010 election, and I quote, "Voters approved the millage levy to fund teachers as well as arts, music, physical education, and choice programs for 4 years, from the fiscal year of 2012 through 2015. I was excited by this as I thought perhaps us, being a charter school, would be going forward and awarded a portion of these funds. I quickly wrote the district and asked if our FEPF revenue would be changing to reflect our portion of these dollars, as I was quickly told no, that these funds would be protected for district programs. I guess it took for me to realize that we are not a district program, we are a gray area. The message of a gray area again made very clear to me yesterday at the Showcase of Schools. I've been told once before that the Choice Program event was for the District Choice Program, not charter schools. Since we have been allowed to attend, we had to pay this year $500. All district schools were admitted free of charge. When we arrived at the fairgrounds yesterday and looked for the location of our booth, not only did I observe that charter schools seem to receive smaller booths, but we are in the back of the convention center. The map, which handed out to parents displayed throughout the center, listed large boxes in the middle of the flyer, elementary schools displayed in green, middle schools displayed in blue, and high schools in red. And at the bottom corner handout were listed other schools in gray. All of the other schools listed under the other schools were charter schools, yet we did not even receive the respect of the title of a charter school. Instead, we were considered other.
Henry D. Jacinto. What we are asking today is for equality for our students, and at a minimum we are asking that the school district vote on the decisions regarding funding capital dollars and the spending of discretionary millage. We understand that by statute you are not required to do either, and either share a fair amount of these funding sources. However, we would like the board to vote for or against the decision. Just because you're not required to share these funds does not mean that you can continue to ignore the fact that you could vote yes to share and be fair with charter schools. Charter schools are public schools too, and this board is either for charter schools or against them. And up until this point, given to your lack of acknowledgement in these areas, we would say that you are displaying it being against charter schools. Let our message be clear. We are asking for the school board to vote for or against funding issues where funds could be used but are not required to be shared to be fair with the charter schools. Be fair and share these capital funds. Mr. Chairman, we respectfully ask you to call that question. Thank you.
Cassandra Johnson, Linda Brown, Jackie Griffith, Ezekiel Pierre, Annie Core. State your name for the record, please.
Cassandra Johnson.
Thank you.
I am a school bus driver at Royal Palm Bus Compound. Bus drivers, who we